Hey everybody, welcome to this week's episode of the Top 10 Show. I am John Roca.
I am Matt Nost, and we are here to do a little February themed show for you guys today. Looking forward to it. There's a tremendous number of movies. I was actually kind of surprised. Because February tends to be somewhat of a graveyard, not as bad as January and September.
Right.
But it's also heated up kind of in the past 5-6 years where more good movies are being put out, knowing that they don't have as stiff a competition in February. So it's a fun list. There's a lot of like varied and interesting choices.
Oh yeah. I mean, I could have made a 2.5 more lists of the movies that came out in February. There were a number of them were in contention, or at least good enough to be considered for sure.
Yes.
And I was surprised. I mean, people, like, as Matt said, people think of January and February as these dumping grounds. And, certainly, as Matt said, again, it's changed over the last few. We've had, superhero movies kind of blow the doors off, like Black Panther, Deadpool. Others come out around February, and that kind of opened the door more for the possibility. But that's kind of a deceiving thing because of how many movies that are damn good that have come out in February. And if we have enough time at the end of the show, maybe an honorable mentions thing between the both of us would be a lot of fun to kind of just talk about the other films that were in contention. But there was a lot.
Yeah.
And so you're absolutely right about that, man. I was surprised going in because when it started, I had like 3 or 4, and then it was a little bit of a wasteland. And then all of a sudden, all these came rolling through, and I was like, wow, there's so many.
Yeah, so I mean, we started the year 2000 and then moved forward. So we have 20 years of Februarys to go through. So it's a decent amount. But it was like, at first, the first 4-ish years, 5 years, I was like, there's a couple in there. We're It looked like it was going to be a list of, you know what, I like that movie, and we never talk about it.
Right. We're humming along.
Yeah. And then it drops off to where I'm writing down, going, this is looking a little thin. I knew that it picked up the last few years because I knew I'd seen some good ones in February, but last 5, 6, just like, that's a good one. This is a good movie. I agree. I've got. I highlighted on my side list. I think I bolded 15 or 16 choices. And then narrowed it down to 10 from there. So, like, if you have one of those 6, I agree that I did put on. Just like, that's a good movie. I just chose this one for whatever reason. But there's surprisingly, it's a wide array too.
Yeah.
I kind of enjoyed it.
Did you go with ones we hadn't talked about that much, or did you go with your authentic, like?
No, I went with my real deal, just because the list itself is so varied.
Yes, agreed.
There are movies that we have talked about, a decent amount on here, but there's also some other ones where, like, we haven't, and I genuinely would put that in my top 10.
Yeah. I got this. So maybe we'll do if we have time, a little honorable mentions thing at the end real quick. It'd be kind of fun because there was a lot to choose from here, which is
sure. How about instead of doing our normal like 10 minutes of kibitzing here, we just do it at the end with the honorable mentions?
Yeah, that sounds good. All right, we'll do that. All right, Let's jump into it. How's the show work, Matt?
Once we set a topic, we go our individual ways and create personal top 10 lists. Show back up here. I do my bottom 3. He does his bottom 3. I do my next 2. He does his next 2. Then we trade 1 apiece. Once we have revealed our personal top 10 list, we create the shows between the 2 of us.
Boom. All right. Let's do this.
Yeah. So bottom of the list. I think the bottom 3, it's like, if you wanted to tell me any of the other 6 that I bolded should make it in, I'll agree with you.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of good choices. So 10, you might be saying the words punt, but I put Black Panther.
A punt. Certainly a punt. Yeah.
I assumed as much.
Yeah. No worries. What about 9?
9, I've got Annihilation.
Oh yeah, that just narrowly missed my cut. I went back and forth about it in the end, but there's just something about the ending that was a bit dissatisfying for me that kind of kept it off the list. But dude, please, it's a fucking great movie, man. Or damn good movie at least.
Yeah, I think it ultimately made my list because, unlike basically every other one on here, the whole time you're sitting there going, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, right.
But enraptured by that, not disgusted of like, what is this? This is just weird for the sake of weird. Right. And this person's turning into like a tree shrub thing that's hyper colored. And then this amorphous blob and they're dying. But the compounding questions is sometimes frustrating. And this one, it made for an engaging journey throughout for me where I know I'm going to go back and rewatch it. Again, eventually may see if I can make heads or tails of what exactly is going on at various times in this movie. And I like that about it, that I didn't have all the answers.
Yeah.
I enjoy that about a movie sometimes. A lot of times it's frustrating as shit. And you're like, that didn't make any sense. And I'm always looking for some form of logic.
Right.
But this one is meant to confound, and it does it so well and so beautifully that I'm fine with that consternation, that feeling that it imparts to me. I like it. I think it's, his top tier work? No.
Right.
But I still think it's really good and it's engaging and interesting.
I agree with you. I think it's an intriguing film for so many reasons. And I think, like you said, like with Tenet, you're like, oh, okay. I think you're just showing off a little bit. Whereas Annihilation, that's a little more of like, I'm interested. I'm confused. Like you said, I'm confounded, but I'm curious. And you've got me on the hook to find out what's happening here. And when what happens at the end happens, you're just like, what? Wait, what? Okay. And then if you watch it again, you can kind of revisit it through that prism and kind of enjoy the film all over again, really, through that as well. So
that's my hope. I think it's just weird enough where I will revisit it. That's why I made it on the list. It's like, I know I'm going to watch it again.
Yeah.
Whereas there are others. There's one in particular that I watched specifically for the show. It's excellent. I hope it makes your list.
Oh,
I just don't think I'll ever watch it again.
Fair.
I've seen it, so I know the hook.
Right. I don't know if I got one of those on my list, but maybe in my honorable mentions, we'll see.
Okay.
But great choice, man. Yeah, Natalie Portman, the actor who plays Wong in the Avengers.
Oscar Isaac.
Yeah, Oscar Isaac.
Emma Thompson, or not Emma Thompson.
Tessa Thompson.
Tessa Thompson.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think who else. I think those are all the ones I could picture off the top of my head.
Alex Garland directed this one, and it's like that the shimmer.
But it fits.
Yeah, it totally fits.
And this weird bubbly type and things are morphing within it. And I don't know. It's a whole bunch of questions, and I don't necessarily need the answers.
She likes to do these roles, though, doesn't she, Natalie? Because like that was it, the astronaut farmer or whatever it was, where she she went into space, and there's all there's these films where her significant other or whatever slides into some kind of other thing, it's the other realm and stuff, and she's left wondering. Even Jackie, to a degree. I mean, the fact that John Kennedy dies and she has to kind of carry on as Jackie, like what is that all about? So it's interesting the roles that she chooses and the emotions she chooses to explore in the roles that she does. So, Annihilation being one of them. All right, what's your 8, man?
My 8 is Black 47.
Oh, what is that?
I brought it up to you. I don't.
Is this the Irish one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, basically, it's British imperialism over Irish society, and this guy comes back from having served for the empire, and local government is inflicting its will. It's evicted his mom, and she is now deceased, and he decides to take vengeance.
Oof.
And it's really good. So that dude, I don't know who it is. Hugo Weaving has a large part, and Jim Broadbent has a small part, and Broadbent is playing a villain.
Okay.
Which is kind of atypical for him.
Right.
And it's just about colonialism / imperialism inflicting its will over a more destitute people. There's a great scene later on where they're taking the grain from their area and shipping it out. I believe it's during the potato famine. And the people are like at the gates of Jim Broadbent's aristocratic compound. That's where the grain is that's being shipped out, and they want food and whatnot, and just the disparity between the two worlds. Plus, it's just a great revenge film.
Yeah.
And the ending's got a nice question as to what exactly happens.
I like an Irish revenge film, man. You talked me into that.
It's good. Weaving's good. I don't know if I know the dude. There's two young actors who are great in it. Both one plays the Irish guy, and then the other one plays a young British officer. I want to say I've seen the British officer somewhere else.
Okay. James. Is Stephen Ray? Stephen Ray's in this. The guy from The Crying Game.
He is. Yeah, he plays a guy that acts as their local guide on some level to Hugo Weaving and the young British officer.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think I've seen this guy in anything, but interesting resume for sure.
Yeah, the lead,
James,
I've never.
James Fretcheville or something like that. Yeah.
And then it's a blonde kid. I don't know if he's blonde full time, but he looks like he might be for the young British officer, and he was good too. Yeah. They're both, as young actors, they carry weight in their scenes.
Oh yeah, he is the son of Edward Fox. You know, the actor, the old school actor who was in Never. He played M in Never Say Never Again.
Okay,
yeah,
sure.
that's his, and he's in Taboo as well. The old dude in Taboo. So yeah, that's it. Edward. That's his. So, and he's the nephew of James Fox. Remember in Sexy Beast, the old British guy that like has sex with what's his face?
Sure.
Yeah, in the showers. So yeah, he's the son of one of the brothers of Edward Fox. What have I seen him in? I don't know if I've seen him in anything. Oh, he's in The Crown. Okay, he plays the idiot's son in the current season. That was him.
Oh,
Mark Thatcher's son. He plays that guy.
Yeah,
all right,
totally does. Didn't even put 2 and 2 together on that.
All right, I'll watch it. I'll absolutely watch it, man. I mean, an Irish revenge film, that's just right up my alley. Dude. I could put that on a Saturday afternoon and just have a good time.
Yeah, it's kind of like William Wallace dealing with. It's not that epic, but it's just like he's wronged and he's like, really? Fine. And just takes out his revenge. And it's good. It's good stuff.
The guy's an Australian actor doing a Irish accent. So interesting. All right.
Although I think he's Australian.
Oh, he is Australian?
The lead dude?
Yeah.
I think it's like Hugo Weaving. No, he's doing an Irish.
Okay. Yeah.
Hugo Weaving, I think, might just be part of the, because Australia is part of the Crown. So he might just, I believe he is an Australian in it.
Okay. No, I'm saying the main actor. The main guy. He's Australian.
Yeah, I got you.
He's from Melbourne. So,
but he's playing an Irish guy. Yeah.
Yeah. An Irish ranger who's been fighting for the British Army abroad as he
comes home and.
Oh, wow.
He's like, it's one of those of, I've been out fighting your wars. This is what you're fucking going to do?
It's almost like what Last Mohicans, right? When they try to stop the American militia from going back to their families to check in on him after they've signed up to fight for the British crown. Yeah. So, yeah, interesting. All right, cool. I like it.
Yeah. The way they get treated almost seems like, black soldiers coming back from like World War II and then getting, like, if you've seen Mudbound, he lives in fear of, just like it's that type of shit where you come back and like nothing's changed.
Right.
Wow.
This is insane.
That's good.
The guy who directed this was the kid with the harmonica in The Commitments.
Wow.
That's crazy. That is crazy, James.
What else has he done?
Lance Daly is his name. He's directed other films, Life's a Breeze, The Good Doctor, Kisses, The Halo Effect, and Last Days in Dublin. And he was in Dead Meat, which I think is the Vinnie Jones one where he's on the train. Oh no, that's a different one, I guess. No,
I don't know that one.
But yeah, so that's interesting. Interesting. All right. Weird little world. That's the last film he's done, though. Black 47, 2018. Last film.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a couple of years ago, so it's not like it's a huge expanse of time.
True. Good point. All right, so that was your 8, right?
Yep. What do you got at 10?
My 10 is Fighting with My Family.
I haven't seen it. I've only heard good things.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it is such a damn good movie. And we were just doing Geek Buddies the other day, and Vogel talked about how he resisted seeing the movie because he was like, I'm not a pro wrestling person. This isn't my thing. And then watched it on a plane, and he absolutely loved it. And you've got Florence Pugh in this. Vince Vaughn is great in this. Mark Addy, a number of other people, Lena Headey in this as well. So just great stuff all around. And it is just a damn well made movie. And I was really surprised. Stephen Merchant directs this thing. He's in it, of course, for a small part, but like it's incredible to see how they were able to take the real life journey of this wrestler Paige and turn it into a story. And the story is so accessible. It's an underdog story. It's a sports story. It's also a family story because they take her over the brother, and the brother is really who wanted to be a professional wrestler more than the sister, but it's the sister who has these intangibles that you just can't teach, and they just has that it factor. And what it turns into, and it is damn good movie, man. And it worked hard to be on the list, man. I kept going back to it going, is it really a top 10? contender. And then at the end, I was like, how can I not put it on the list? So
Okay.
there it is. Yeah. Number 10.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but good things. And that assessment of you don't need to be a wrestling fan to enjoy this.
It's a sports movie. It is a sports movie. Yes, it's talked about results, but the overall journey of the film is a sports story. Yeah.
Yeah. Underdog striving to reach, pinnacle heights.
Yeah, exactly.
Fits all kinds of different story types.
Against all odds, yeah. Okay, so then my number 9 is, and this was tough. I had to put it on the list, but I might be talked out of this one. I don't know. As Kingsman: The Secret Service.
That's a ever so slight punt.
All right, so you put it on. Fair enough. Yeah. All right, then my number 8 is Constantine.
That also is a punt.
Ooh, fascinating. All right, let's go to your 7.
Seven is Kingsman.
Okay, cool.
I thought we'd have something in between, hence telling you it's a slight punt.
Yeah, no worries.
Really thought it would be a fight to get it on?
Yeah, because there are when we get to the honorable mentions, I could have made some cases for these films too, because I don't know how many times I've put on Kingsman, to be honest with you. Okay. And I don't know if it holds up the way it used to, because that sequel was just not as good as I was hoping. Right. Yeah. Yeah. But what you said.
It was trash.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the scene in the church is so undeniably amazing. There's just like, dude, for all the movies that I cut off, do you have a scene that's that good? That is that genuinely, after we've seen a million action movies and comic book movies and superhero movies.
Yeah, maybe not. But there's a documentary that I kept off this list that I think in the long run I would, and maybe on another day and another time I would have put on the list over.
Okay. Well, I want to hear what that is, because I don't recall having seen any docs that I would have put on, but maybe I just missed it.
Yeah.
I just went through what was released in the US in February.
Yeah, me too.
Every year. When we did, I think, best of the 90s, somehow I missed 1999, and you had 2 movies that made my list ultimately.
Yeah.
Something like that.
But it's good. Yeah. Go ahead.
Just I mean, that there are other parts that are, cartoonish and over the top. And I hate the anal line at the end. I think there's no need for it whatsoever. You're talking to a guy that loves dark humor and crass. Okay. Yeah. I'm not going to speak to what I do and do not like in that regard. I'm saying, as someone who has existed in a world of hearing every dark, depressing joke and every...
Yeah. You put that pause there, man. You put that pause there.
Hey, that's fine. It's fine. Infer from that what you will.
Yeah. I mean, I was like, okay, here we go. No, it's true. But there are those issues. Yeah. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry, man. Yeah.
But those aside, I think it's a great idea. And I was looking forward to the newest one.
Yeah.
That has since been delayed on its release.
Yeah.
Just because you could easily do a prequel. Where do they come from? And do the first iteration. I have zero problem with that. Or you could fast forward it in 20 years and see what the future of this is kind of like. So it has so much potential.
And Matt, they're supposed to be launching that as kind of a new extension of the series, not a one-off. So it would be another franchise that was set occurring in the same universe, just at a different time. So that's a fascinating approach to an overall franchise, to have a separate franchise going on that will eventually connect back up to the first movie of the other section of your franchise. So it's a fascinating decision if they pull it off, and if people like this movie, and I hope they do, because the trailers look great.
Yeah, the trailers looked very interesting.
Yeah.
So I was intrigued even after not enjoying the last one in the slightest.
Yeah.
It was bad, man. Just why are they singing Country Road? So what is this stupid?
Yeah.
It was just so dumb.
And they wasted a good Elton John cameo, man. They wasted a good Elton John cameo.
They wasted a lot in that movie.
Elton John was great.
So disappointing. But the first one, because I went into it expecting it to be terrible.
Yeah.
I was like, this looks stupid. And the opening with Taron Egerton.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know if I like this guy at all. he really seemed to be playing that, young ruffian so well.
Yeah.
I don't know what the term for that type of young kid, young punk in Britain is.
I think that what you said is fine.
Yeah, but I'm sure there's a way they say, oh, he's a such and such.
Oh, the slang?
Yeah, whatever the slang term for him is, but he's just a young punk.
Yeah.
And he's got a bunch of young punk friends, and they think that they're all adult badasses, and then they come into actual contact with the troop when Colin Firth kicks a bunch of guys' asses with an umbrella, and it's believable. That's impressive.
Yeah.
Now the umbrella has certain characteristics and properties that doesn't make it sense. It's not like Jackie Chan with an umbrella.
Yeah, right.
But still, it is still just an umbrella.
Awesome. That's an awesome situation.
It is. He grabs the mug with the handle of the umbrella,
right.
whips it in, and smacks the dude. And who would have thought Colin Firth, although after Liam Neeson, all things are possible.
True. Very, very true. Actually, very true.
But yeah, so I was surprised that when you said, I wasn't sure if I was going to, I was like, this was a no-brainer to me.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, just the Sam Jackson stuff for me at times gets a bit cheesy. So
His
yeah,
lisp
over
is
the top.
weird.
Yeah. So it's just like, oh, but in the end, I was like, no, there's a lot. And the church scene was one of those things that made me put it on the list because it has such a, it was such a surprising scene to see in a film like this and done so well and effectively, it was really good. All right. What's your 6?
My 6 is Coraline.
Okay. Yeah. I knew that was going to be on your list. Go ahead, man.
Yeah. I assumed I'm going to have more animation than you were going to have. So that's fine. I love stop motion. This introduced me to Leica, as I think it introduced everyone to Leica.
Yeah.
It's what I love in ostensibly what is a children's movie, but it's not really children's. It's like a young young teenager type of movie, but it's dark. And a lot of movies that were geared towards us when we were younger were dark.
Yeah.
It's like it's part of the growing up. It's not as dark as the adult stuff, but you need to kind of transition to the world's not, all rainbows and unicorns.
Yeah.
There are downsides and actions have consequences and stuff like that. And it's this young girl that finds a, special little gateway into a parallel kind of world, but it's a grass is greener type of situation. And she's not acknowledging the gifts, what she has around her, and becomes complacent. She's like, oh, my other mother, it seems like it's a better world because she allows me to do whatever I want. And there's more freedom here, and et cetera. And that comes at a cost. And that cost is kind of a sense of your identity and who you are and the loved ones around you. And it's kind of a profound message to put into a movie that is ostensibly, once again, made for, 10 to 14-year-olds.
Yeah.
But adults can enjoy it as well because I was, an older individual when I saw it.
Yeah.
So it still had the resonance for me, but allowing that younger generation to access some of the thought processes and feelings that can be evoked, I think is kind of important and interesting. And also because of this movie, I've had now several others that they've made that I'm a very big fan of as well.
Yeah.
That have gone on to enjoy. I like Paranorman a lot. I like Kubo and the Two Strings.
Yep.
Missing Link is beautiful. I think the story overall is like, it's okay. Box Trolls is a dud.
Yeah.
But it also opened me up to, I went and saw Pirates, which is, it's not them. That's, but I love that movie. I watch it like once a year now. But I don't know if I would watch stop motion if it weren't for something like Coraline kind of reintroducing me to that style and whatnot.
Totally.
So it made my list, and I got it at 6. What do you got at 7?
I have In Bruges at 7.
Oh, that's a punt.
Okay, that's a punt. Then my 6 is Miracle.
That was a tough cut.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Do you love your country? What the hell, man?
It's a good sports movie. It's a good sports movie.
How dare you? No, this one is incredible. This one's damn good. I think because it's based on real life events, people don't give it enough credibility, but it's very Hoosiers like. You take a veteran actor. You cast a bunch of unknown actors for the most part at the time to play these young kids, these young teenagers who were going up against the mighty Russians and other teams in the Olympics, in the Winter Olympics at Lake Placid in 1980. And the way they captured it, because there was a TV movie that was done about this where Carl Malden played Hood Brooks that I thought was good too. But this one kind of went next level. And this isn't like The Rookie. Like The Rookie is a really good Disney film about this. This one has a little more grit to it, just a little more guts to it. And I appreciated that. And you see the process. And I think Kurt Russell is stellar. Absolutely stellar as Herb Brooks in this movie, and all the young actors they get to play, Eruzione, Jim Craig, all the numerous hockey players that were on that team. They all do a great job of the journey of getting to that moment, and then succeeding at that moment and what it means. So I think this is a superb sports movie, and that's why I couldn't keep it off the list, because it's just like, I can't deny this one. This was actually damn good. So.
Yeah, I've never had much of a connection to the story, just because that Olympics happened before I watched I was, I think 2 years old.
Yeah, I can understand that.
When it happened, I've never really watched hockey. All I knew about it was the storyline and the "Do you believe in miracles?"
Right.
Which is great. Al Michaels at his, pinnacle best.
Yeah.
So I like the movie. It's never connected to me, and you also know exactly where it's going. There's nothing wrong with that. The payoff is excellent. But yeah, it was. I originally had it at number 10, and I cut it off.
Yeah.
So it was basically it's 11 on my list. It's not like it's part of that 16 overall. It's like, okay, here are the movies that I genuinely think should be on my list.
Right.
So now we don't have to talk about an honorables. I figured it was going to be on your list though.
Well, yeah, you make an excellent point, though. It's like, yeah, I have a personal connection as I watched this with my dad. Yes, it was on tape delay. People forget that. It wasn't live. It was on tape delay. But this isn't when you had the internet. You could know who had won. Nobody knew except the people who were over there. Right. Didn't matter. Just being there and watching it on tape delay and getting lost in it was incredible. Incredible. I remember it was one of those early sports memories with my dad. And so, yeah, that just great stuff. And they capture it really, really well in this movie. And so, so there you go. That's why it's my number 6. All right. We're at your number 5, right?
Yeah, which is a punt from you from not that long ago.
Oh, okay.
In Constantine. So that was your what?
Okay.
8?
All right. Yeah, it was my number 8. Yes.
I
don't know. It could be higher, Matt. I put it where I put it.
Yeah. Sometimes it happens.
Yeah. Go ahead.
We both have been clamoring for a sequel.
They announced it might be happening.
What does that fucking mean?
No, Stormari came out on his Instagram a few weeks ago and said, "We have a script. It's happening." And Keanu and the director came back for a thing at that Warner Brothers Under the Dome or DC, and they spoke about that it's very much moving towards, but I don't know how you make that work, to be honest with you.
What do you mean in regards to it's been so many years?
Yeah, it's been so many years, and the character's already been around in the DC universe with that other British guy playing him, or
yeah, but cinematically, there's been nothing outside of
true
the other Constantine. So as far as the average general public is concerned,
yeah,
he is technically Constantine. Although we're going to get into a situation where it's so far removed. How well do we think that this sequel is going to do?
Yeah, true.
Type of thing. It's like the new Crudes coming out. Dude, it's been so long. Does anybody, who's the target for this? Although this at least is a comic book, so it has a larger built-in audience than, say, a Crudes follow-up. Yeah. But I just think a unique story especially in the realm of comic books, and one that is wildly engaging.
Yeah.
And to see like different perspectives of guardian angels and how the old, saying of one man's angel is another man's demon, and seeing that really come to life of under the wrong motivations or differing motivations, what was once your savior could also be your demise. And to see Gabriel just acted like Tilda Swinton was such a great choice. Just
so good.
Cold and calculating, and yet there's still a compassion within there, and a lack of understanding as to why God would choose us to be the vessels of having a soul as opposed to the perfect beings of an angel. But you see all of that turmoil within. I mean, they did a great job of casting. Stormare as the devil is pitch perfect.
Oh,
he is. God. I mean, how many times can you say Gavin Rossdale was good
as an actor? Yeah.
Constantine and just all the choices. Even I wonder if they bring Shia LaBeouf back because he was kind of the.
Well, they killed him. So if they do bring him back, maybe he's from the spirit world, the spirit realm in some way. So it is possible. But Joman Hansu, right? Papa Doc, you'd have to bring him back.
Is the guy the purgatorial little party scene?
Yeah,
it's just somewhere they can go. There's a lot to do here, and huge world to explore.
Yeah,
and then eventually, if it does well, okay, we could do like the DC Dark Universe, like they brought in Batman. Maybe Robert Pattinson's Batman joins Constantine on some weird type of
possible.
It opens up interesting possibilities.
Yeah. Zatanna, Deadman. There's a lot to play with. That's for
sure. There
is.
is.
Swamp Thing.
Hopefully. Fingers crossed.
I mean, you never know. But yeah, I mean, that would be great. Maybe Constantine is the leader of that crew. So maybe that's how you bring him back. You don't have the Batman element. He's kind of the pseudo Batman element. If you do a live action Justice League Dark as a way of bringing this character back, that could be very interesting. I'd be down with that. It never bothered me that he didn't have a British accent. I thought Keanu captured the spirit of the character, the spirit of John Constantine, who is hangdog. He is just done with life. He is exhausted for constantly between because of the battle of heaven and earth that he's in the middle of. It's a constant existence of exhaustion. And he conveyed that so well, and Rachel Weisz is good in the movie. Everything about it, just really enjoyed it. And it's brutal when it needs to be brutal. And I appreciate that about the movie. And there's a lot of people, Matt, actually, I've discovered a lot of people who do enjoy this movie. So it didn't do well at the box office initially, but it seems like a lot of people discovered it afterwards and actually like it and like Keanu in it. So.
Yeah, perhaps. I mean, if they kept the budget low enough, then it just sets the right expectation level.
True.
Yeah, I certainly hope so.
Dude, Tilda's great in this movie, too, man.
She is.
The philosophical discussions they get into. Give me more of that.
Exactly. And when she realizes that she's in the wrong.
Yeah.
And the devil, I mean, when Stormare shows up and he's there to claim the one soul that he wants. I mean, listen to the stakes that we're talking about, and it works.
Yeah.
We're talking about heaven and hell and the physical manifestation of a fallen angel and the devil. And it works. It flat out works.
The dripping black asphalt or tar or blood
off of him
feet. Oh man,
and when he pulls the cancer out, thereby damning him a little more. It's like, nope, you don't get to go to heaven just yet, fucko.
And I wonder if he does that because Constantine flicks him off. Like, you're not going into heaven telling the devil to F
you don't
off.
get what you want.
You don't get what you want. So the devil
I'm gonna bring you back to screw up again, so then I got another shot at your soul. And what you can end up screwing this up again.
Dude, when he's dragging him and he's the weight of him drags across the concrete because
just tearing. Oh, it's tile, isn't it? Because they're near that swimming pool. Yeah, and the tile's just chipping as he's dragging him. Oh, it's such a great build to that entire full sequence.
1,000% agree, man. All right, so that was your 5.
Yep.
Well, speaking of religion, my 5 is the Passion of the Christ.
It's one of the bolded, baby. It's one of the bolded.
Okay. So it's one of the honorable mentions. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
I had to keep this on this list. I think it's a film. I will defend it, and I've had my friend Michael Vogel, who is Jewish. We've had conversations about the Steve Morris on Cinephiles is Jewish. We've had conversations about the movie, and it's been very fruitful conversations. Interesting conversations. But it's a film that, and I get where people feel it's a little anti-Semitic. I don't read that into it, but I'm never going to discount anybody who does see that in the movie. Mm-hmm. To me, it's a story about something that's very deep in my belief, with Christ and what he went through and what have you. And I don't talk about it that much, but it is something that I grew up with very strongly, very powerfully, believing participating in, and seeing it portrayed this way was incredible, because I think too many times, Matt, people don't want to see the brutal reality of a situation on film or what have you. And I understand it, but I also think we cop out a little bit. And I think with this movie, Gibson does it. And yeah, people are like, oh, it's his torture porn. It's Christ. And you have to see the beating he took, at least according to the Bible, according to the stories that are told, in exchange for saving the world and erasing the sins of the original sin. And so you have to see what he endured. And Gibson pulls no punches in showing you that, because his faith is so deep. And yes, whatever you feel about Gibson, I totally respect that as well. But it's an incredibly well-directed movie, and interesting. It's an Aramaic, and Jim Caviezel is stellar as Jesus. And throughout the whole film, what he experiences, what he goes through, 12 Stations of the Cross, all of it works so well. And I cry every time I watch the movie, because the crucifixion just affects me in that way, in a deep way that I don't understand, but it just does, So I love the movie.
Yeah, I have not seen it since the theater. And it's not a knock on the movie. It's, I grew up Catholic, going to Sunday school, and I know the Stations of the Cross. I can still visualize how they were set up in the church that I went to every week as a kid. Yeah. And then, I've judged every church that has a Stations of the Cross up since then, and be like, does it match up to? I've seen a lot. I've visited a lot of churches in my life.
I totally respect that.
I have, man. I like it because I grew up with it. That to me is how you do it, just because it's how you saw it as a kid, and that's what you're conditioned to. But the cat of nine tails, when it whips around and pulls the flesh off of his ribs, yes, you could call that torture porn, but I really think you need to see it. You need to experience the visceral nature of what it is.
Right.
Because otherwise it's pictures in relief carved into stone type of, and you don't get a sense of what he went through. Yeah. Purported to have gone through. But any of these individuals that got sentenced to crucifixion had to go through how brutal a torture that is for any individual, regardless of who they were. Right. Just a common thief or the worst person of, all time, like whoever went down for crucifixion. I have no idea. But I think that, the torture porn aspect of it, I always felt was hollow. It seemed to me, that people were just looking for ways to attack Mel on that one.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. And it made so much money, man. Whew.
It's tough to watch, but it needs to be tough to watch.
Exactly. It's like Schindler's List. There are moments in Schindler's List that are horrific to experience, devastating to watch, or even go all the way back to Shoah. If people have seen Shoah, that film about the documentary about what happened at the Holocaust, it's just like, wow. But you have to experience it in order to have it affect you deeply. And so I think for people of religious faith, Gibson knew, like, I'm going to show this as brutally as it actually is said to have occurred in the Bible and in the stories. And I know people will respect that of deep faith. And they did, because so many people went to see this movie. I think this movie would have made $1 billion if it had come out nowadays, because it made like 450 million or something like that. It could have made $1 billion if it had come out, not nowadays, I was with COVID, but like before pre-COVID, or in the last couple of years. I think it would have made a crap ton of money. So,
yeah, unlike, what limited I've seen of other religious movies.
Yeah. Yeah.
This one's not trying to talk about how their religion is persecuted, or society does not allow them the freedom that they believe they should have, type of thing. Like, I'm specifically thinking of stuff like God's Not Dead.
Right.
Doesn't make a lick of sense. I got dragooned into seeing that. I won't say who, but at least it wasn't Catherine.
Right. I'm sure it wasn't. Yeah.
It was not. So I will say that. But upon walking out, the person that basically asked, hey, will you go see this with me? Was like, well, that was a load of shit. And I'm like, God bless you, man. It was a load of shit. Yeah. It just, the movie didn't make any sense, because they were basically crying false persecution and stuff like that. And just like, you're making up these slings and arrows.
Yep.
Whereas in the Passion of the Christ, it's like, yeah, the Roman Church is fine with you until you try and take away any ounce of their power.
Yeah.
And then they're not finding this. Like Romans were inviting of all religions by and large.
Yeah.
It's fine. They allowed the local people to continue to go on believing this was not a theocracy. This was, basically, it's not a theocracy. But at the same time, if you're trying to get your people more rights or other things that kind of fly in the face of administratively what the Romans are trying to do, they're going to snuff that shit out.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, no, you don't. Oh,
yeah, exactly.
No,
you're still going to run into like, wait, we're still in power. You can believe whatever you want. We still run the show. Right. And there's true, genuine persecution. Yeah. But they did that to, other people anyway, inflicted their will. But to see, it was honest as you could be about a story that's been handed down over the generations, and whether or not, it's to be true. Some people believe it's verbatim fact. That's exactly how it happened. And others it's just like it's story. You take from it what you will. It's a parable almost.
Yep.
But he tried to honor the heart of it. Yeah.
Agreed.
It's once again, it's on my side. I'm not going to fight you. It's a great movie.
Yeah. All right. What's your 4?
My 4 is Old School.
Yeah. Okay. That's all you. Go ahead, man. I like the movie.
List at all?
I love the movie, dude. Love the movie. But if we're talking top 10, I don't put Old School in top 10 for me.
I've seen it so many times.
I totally respect it.
So many times. Yeah. And I will probably end up seeing it. If this was 10 years ago, it would have been higher. A, there'd be less competition. But B, it's just like I watched even more back then. It's one of those, the faults at which some people point out they don't like as much or whatnot. I don't really care because where it works for me, it works so beautifully.
Yeah.
All the little characters, the idea of putting in a frat so you can just have these just boom explosions of somebody come in and kind of chew scenery because they really need to.
Yeah.
And it's the genesis of middle-aged men struggling for, some semblance of their youth has now escaped them through 3 different shades of Vince Vaughn envious of Luke Wilson being able to be out on his own. He's got his speaker company and his wife and kids, but he's not really happy. And Will Ferrell, newly married, but it doesn't really look like that. Marriage is bedrock foundationally.
Right.
And then Luke Wilson is just kind of a little bit lost and aimless, trying to find his way in the world. And I don't know. It's got the right blend of just a dash of heart and a lot of stupid, vulgar college humor. Yeah. And I think it's just got a great balance.
Yeah.
Overall.
Yeah. No, I'm not going to deny you putting it on your list, man. That is a funny ass movie. You could argue I know it isn't a Judd Apatow movie, but you could make a case that it's the best of the Judd Apatow style movies that came around around those years. But you're right. It's introducing Will Ferrell, who's about to ascend into into the stratosphere of comedy. Luke Wilson doing his thing. Elijah Cuthbert is, that relationship could be deemed a little weird or inappropriate. Well, Terry Quinn is in that.
Yeah, but he didn't seek it out.
No, he didn't. He didn't know.
Yeah, she slept with him, and for all intents and purposes, he found out afterwards. And then it's like, oh shit! It's kind of like Ewan McGregor in Trainspotting.
Oh right, he's like finding out the truth.
Yeah, and he's like the next day talking to her parents, like, oh, so you were her flatmates, and they're like, that's a good one. And he finds out that she's underage, although I don't know what the law is there, but we clearly know what the law is here.
That's true. But overall, just very, very funny. And then, Jeremy Piven playing a great villain, which is ironic because, of course, he was essentially the Luke Wilson, Vince Vaughn character in PCU. So to see him do the reverse here is great. You're My Boy Blue, where they're recruiting everybody. The guy who has his balls tied to the anchor or the cement block. All of it is just very, very funny. So, I can't deny that, dude. And the final ending where they're doing all those events to try to qualify, Jesus, it's brilliant in its humor, that's for sure. But
it's the Billy Madison, but I like the Olympics type of aspect of Billy Madison needs to pass all that jazz, but it's executed even better for me because each one kind of gets the shine in their own little way.
I love Vince with the cigarette doing the rings.
Cigarette in the rings, holding it. holding, and she's shaking.
Just brilliant stuff. And it's a nerdy frat. It's not a good looking dudes frat. It's a nerdy frat.
Yeah, they're the misfit toys that couldn't make it in any other frat.
That's a great point.
Yeah, they start their own. And they have a history with Jeremy Piven. They used to bully him.
Yeah, right.
Cheese. Well, I'm no longer cheese, guys. Like, you can tell the anger. It happens with my brother and I. It doesn't happen anymore, but well into my 20s and 30s, there would be times where I'm reacting like I'm 8 again because he just knows how to push my buttons.
Of course.
He's just like, dang it! And you're like, all right, Matt, just relax. Like, just relax. He's only getting what he wants right now, which doesn't happen anymore.
Let's work this out, man.
Let's work this out. Oh, nobody for the longest time could push my buttons like my brother could. He was the hands down world champion at it. But yeah, just, if you go back, because a lot of people say, oh, Wedding Crashers and Old School, some prefer Wedding Crashers, and I think Wedding Crashers had some really great moments, but I'll take Old School every time over Wedding Crashers.
I think Old School is a tighter film than Wedding Crashers for sure. 1,000%. And I just watched Wedding again the other day, and the Will Ferrell stuff, as funny as it is no business being in the movie.
Yeah.
It's what extends the movie out longer than it needs to. And the weird thing where he's hiding the relationship from Owen Wilson, that makes no sense to me. So, it's just there's just some things in the back half of the movie that aren't the best, but the scene in the church is excellent. That's an excellent
it's still got some great scenes in it, whereas Old School to me is, as far as a comedy goes, it's pretty flawless.
Yeah, stellar throughout. No doubt. All right, so then my number 4 is the punt from earlier, is Black Panther.
Sure.
Just revisiting it again for cinephiles and breaking it down with Jay Washington and Winston A. Marshall was a hell of an experience, Matt. And it made me reappreciate the film on so many more levels than I had kind of first seen, even the first 2 or 3 times I watched it. And so it has moved up in my estimation because of that, because of the way Winston and Jay spoke about it and how it affected him. And also the things they pointed out that I hadn't seen before. And some of the approaches and the cultural approaches and the generational approaches that I hadn't really considered as I was watching it, But I mean, it's the late great Chadwick Boseman who does a fantastic job in this movie.
Yeah,
Michael B. Jordan is really good in this movie. Killmonger, argue one of the best villains in the MCU ever. Lupita Nyong'o, Denai Guerrera, all fantastic. Angela Bassett, and the story. This idea of what's your responsibility to the outside world as Africans with this technology? Why aren't they helping other Black communities, other Black civilizations in the world? What are they afraid of? Are they being the, the elitist that they claim to be against? Are they being the elitist that they claim to be against? And then within their own country of Wakanda, the battles within the multiple tribes about who should be leading, all of that. Just when you explore it over and over again, it is just, it kind of moves up in my estimation, which is why it's number 4 for me. So there you go.
Yeah. I watched it again during quarantine at some point. I can't remember. And I still like it. The problems that I had with it is the same. I'm over origin stories unless it's a crazy unique one. And to me, this was an origin story and I'd rather just jump right in with the character, but I know why you have to do it. I fully get it. I'm just unless it's something like Doctor Strange, where it's like you kind of need an origin story for the only character that can do magic.
Right.
I'm kind of over origin stories at this point.
That's fair.
There's been so many different superhero movies that thankfully, if this was a while back, and be like, dude, this is one of the best. Yeah. Because it's up against fewer stuff, but now it's like there's a lot of iterations and variations, and you can kind of search out and hunt and peck.
True.
So it made my list at 10. That's I cut Miracle for it. I was back and forth on those two.
Absolutely understandable. Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. So then what's your number? What are we at? 3? Your number 3?
My 3 is In Bruges, the punt from earlier.
Okay. All right, cool. Please.
Just out of nowhere. So it's what kind of started to slowly cement the fact that Colin Farrell's an excellent actor.
Yeah.
Because for the longest time, I thought he's good, but he's also just has this raw charisma and sex appeal, and that's why he's getting these jobs.
Yeah,
that was my assumption, and I had
he was
seen
living off his good looks as opposed to his talent. Right.
Yeah, and then now, having seen him produce so much excellent work, just like it's unfair that he's that handsome when he's this talented. It's like, fuck you, man. It is. It's like, if you got a sense of humor and you're nice on top of all this, you can fuck right off. Yeah, like, you need a flaw in there somewhere, something, man.
Yeah.
Although I've heard him in interview and just like his early years in Hollywood, and he partied way too hard and stuff like that.
Yeah, people forget, man. It's always a journey. It's always a progress.
It is.
People are so consumed with the result now, they forget about, like, well, it's all, weren't you once young? Didn't you fuck up once when you were young? How would you handle it if you were in this position? You just never know.
Yeah, you're telling me you're not going to be stupid if you're young, rich, famous, wildly attractive. Like, you got everything going for you. You don't have to pay for meals when you go out, because I'm sure the restaurant or whatever is more than happy to comp it because you're there to eat. And you go to restaurant bars and
or a drink, Matt. You don't have to pay for a drink at all. Yeah,
exactly. And then while you're drinking, somebody's like, "Hey, you want a little tootski?" And you're like, "I like to party." And so the world is your buffet,
basically. Yeah.
But this was part of the run of, man, I've really liked Colin Farrell. Like this and Seven Psychopaths. Yeah. And he just puts out work where now, like, I watched The Lobster solely.
Yeah.
Upon finding out about, Colin Farrell's got, this sounds interesting. If it was another actor, I don't know if my ears would have perked up as much.
Right.
But him and Rachel Weisz and be like, okay.
Excellent.
Yeah. It's interesting. And in Bruges, it's him and Brendan Gleeson, Ralph Fiennes. And I also liked Gleeson a lot since 28 Days Later is where I first saw him. And I've always been a fan since then. Right. But it's like, those two coupled up. I'm intrigued, and throw in Ralph Fiennes, and there's some humor in it, but it's also really dark and depressing. But honestly,
and weird. Yeah.
And honest about its depression.
Yes. I mean, and it has some moments that you're just there's no other word but shocking. There are just some moments that are, like, I don't want to give too much away because you want people to watch it if who haven't watched it, but there are that moment at the top of the church, that moment.
The fat Americans.
Yes.
They'll never get up there. And it's a great moment of comedy.
Yeah. But that moment where like he sees what he sees and is experiencing. Clement's poesy is great in it as well. Who, of course, I kind of discounted because she's in the Harry Potter films. No big deal. She did this right after the Harry Potter film. But then I saw her in The Tunnel. And if you haven't seen The Tunnel, if you haven't seen Clement's poesy in The Tunnel, this is an incredible actress. You got to watch that series. And I'm saying that to anybody who's listening to us. It's on PBS now. It's an excellent series. And so seeing her in this was interesting too. So all around, the journey he's on is almost like a fever dream that he is along for the ride of, and other people are kind of in control of, but he's lost in the depression of what he's done. And he realizes, what the end result might be. He doesn't want to fully accept it because he's young, but he realizes that there's a possibility here that his death is on the table and what that means. And then you've got this great kind of sexy beastie-ish performance from Ralph Fiennes as the guy who's trying to make this all happen. Is just incredible. I mean, him on the phone with Brendan Gleeson when he fucking loses it. Oh man,
like, why Bruges? And like, it's a fucking fairy tale land, because he had some magical time there when he was a kid.
It's so random.
And the rest of, I guess, that area is like, it's fucking Bruges.
Yeah,
I've never been, so I don't know what the reality is, type of thing.
Yeah,
but and it's against type because he usually plays that posh, refined.
Yes. Yeah, like M. Yeah.
He's the scalpel as opposed to the hammer.
Right.
And in this, he's fully the hammer.
He must have had so much fun doing this, man.
Oh yeah. He gets to choose scenery, and it just fits the character so perfectly.
Right. Whereas usually you're right, where he's a more of a restrained actor. In this, he gets to like just hammer that shit to pieces.
Yeah, he's prim and proper, and you know, like if this was more posh, he'd be more snake-like as opposed to the badger.
Right. Oh, good point. Yeah. All right, that was your 3?
That was my 3.
So then my 3 is The Invisible Man.
That was I know the hook. I've seen it once. It's really good.
Mm-hmm.
It is really good.
It is so good. I've seen it 3 times now, man. And
really,
it gets better every time I watch it. Even though the first experience was excellent, the score is so fucking good. It's like watching Joker. When you watch Joker, yes, it's a good movie. It's the score that really puts you into the mood of the movie. And the score with Invisible Man, same thing. Benjamin Wolfish does a fantastic job with the score. And from the opening shots of that water hitting that rock and the loud, it's the very, title. The title, it's very Hitchcockian. And then you add in the sound and the music and the score. You're 1,000% aboard for this ride. And Elizabeth Moss is great in it. And what she goes through, Aldous Hodge is damn good in it. Storm Reed's good in it. So throughout, you see what she's able to do and how this all twists around as it goes along. And I enjoy the hell out of it, especially because The Invisible Man is one of those films that, like, I enjoyed as a kid and the black and white, whatever. But this one takes it to a whole new level. And I put this in my top 10 films of 2020. And I think Elizabeth should be nominated for Best Actress for what she did. You know, she's incredible in this movie. So
that's where
the score too.
I kept it off because it was like, I don't know if I'm going to watch it again because I know the hook of it, but I don't want to talk about the movie all that much, you know, type of thing. But I do, how to say this without saying it. I do like the director's choices to focus on certain things sometimes.
Good point.
It adds to the overall feel of the movie, and it's it is a Hitchcockian. It's a great way to put it.
Yeah. Yep.
But
Hitchcockian.
It's a simple, just lock the camera, and the fact that nothing is happening really makes it feel like everything and anything is happening.
Yeah.
And I like the explanation as to the invisibility. I thought that was a great choice.
Yeah. That was a surprising choice. 1,000% agreed.
As opposed to a bunch of the other shenanigan horse shit that you're expecting.
Well, I mean, a great horror movie is great because you can revisit it multiple times, even though you know I've seen Halloween, I don't know, like 30, 40 times, but I know what's going to happen, but still it's worth it for the tension and the drama, how close they come, or Laurie comes to dying multiple times. And the same thing with this one, how close everything comes to going a certain way and how brutal Leigh Whannell is with some of the decisions of who lives and who dies in this movie. It is excellent. And so that's why I think it earned its spot for me. All right. So what's your number 2, man?
My deuce is Rango.
All right, man.
I think it's pitch perfect.
All right. I'm not going to deny you that, man. That's a damn good movie.
I genuinely, rewatchability only gets beat by one other movie, my number 1.
Okay.
I've seen it a lot of times. And the nice thing is I know I'll keep seeing it. And it's an animation where if I have friends that casually like movies and whatnot, they'll ask like, oh, what should I see that I haven't seen? And it's one of the few animations that I'm more than happy to say, you need to see that. Trust me, you'll like it.
Yeah.
It just works on so many different levels, but I love this almost meta Johnny Depp playing a character who's an actor and also same time a chameleon. And that actor has to blend into the surroundings and he creates a backstory for himself and just how they build and they take these old, West kind of stereotypes and make them manifest within characters and stupid little things like the rattlesnake is the gunslinger, but the rattle is just a revolver, and it's just the barrel of that's his gun. But instead of having a ravel, it's just the clicking of that going around. Like that's just the small little things here and there.
Oh yeah.
And all the people walking around that have lived there, they carry the weight of having experienced a Western frontier lifestyle with ragged clothes, and their skin is just beaten up and leathery, and their teeth are gross. Yeah. And it's something now that I can't unsee. A friend of mine years ago, we were watching a Western. He's like, I'm out. And I was like, really? Already? He's like, everybody's teeth are too nice.
Yeah.
And I was like, shit. Now I judge a Western as to. Now there are times where I don't care because it's like that's not the aesthetic that they're really going for. But others, when they're trying to do like a true gritty Western, and somebody smiles and their teeth are all white and perfect, and be like, no. I thought all the choices from point A to point B, and there's a great documentary you can find on YouTube of they sequestered themselves in a house up in the hills, all the animators, and they lived this project for months on end as they figured out all the characters and the story arc, and had the voice actors come in and help bring it to life and whatnot as they're building this world out. I just think it's done so well from point A to point B.
I don't disagree with you, man. It's fantastic. You're right. And the Spirit of the West scene is incredible too. Timothy Olyphant doing a fantastic job, essentially channeling Clint Eastwood. And the different voiceover actors they get to play the different animals. And you're right. It's very much obviously a Western, but very much puts you in the feeling of and you almost forget that it's animated. That's how good it is, that you get so caught up in the characters, caught up in the reality of the design of these animals or these reptiles or these whatever they are, all the different types of species that are in the movie. You get so caught up in it that you forget that you're watching animated animals in essence, or mammals or what have you, doing these things, and you just focus on the characters, right? I think I rewatched the scene a few days ago with him versus that flying thing that's trying to get him, and
the eagle.
Yeah, the eagle. He fights the two brothers, then the eagle shows up or whatever, and all of that happens with him there, and him trying to still be the cool dude and whatever, and all the journey he goes on. Because, and listen, for as good as the film is, it's the voice acting that, I mean, Johnny Depp plays the vulnerability of this guy so well. He's a guy who just wants to, he's always just not been good enough at anything he's ever done. He's an actor, but he knows he's a way low rung actor. And in this briefest of moments, he gets to experience what it's like to actually be the hero, to be the lead. And all of his characteristics come out, both good and bad, in this film, and it's great to watch his journey throughout, and the voiceover work that Johnny does as he goes through his journey in the film. Just great stuff, man.
That is my deuce.
All right, my two is Get Out.
That came out in February?
Oh yeah, came out in February.
I somehow missed that. That was wow. What year? 2017.
That's how I have it in Wikipedia.
Apparently walked right over that. Let's see. We'll fact check it against IMDb and see what IMDb says.
Okay.
I don't know how I missed something like that.
Get Out came out on February
24th of February.
Yep.
Yeah, great choice. All right. Well, that would make my list. I can bump stuff down.
Okay. So yeah, I was, what can you say about Get Out? I mean, it's just once again, it's another horror film, like I mentioned with Invisible Man, that is stellar, unique, brilliant. Jordan Peele finds the humor in this, finds the really uncomfortable humor in this, but also the terrible horror and drama of something like this, because it's just crazy enough to be believable. It's just crazy enough that you think people would actually do this. White people of affluent means could do this. And the hypocrisy of the white liberal as well is exposed here a little bit. Oh, if I could, I would have voted for Obama 3 times if I could. There's all of that because at the core of it, there is at times a hypocrisy about how they deal with people of color and how they deal with black people in particular. Like, yes, give them all their rights, but I don't want to live near them. It's that kind of thing, and so that is exposed here in such a brutal way. Plus the idea of like, being able to hypnotize somebody or be able to put someone in a state where they would be essentially farmed out as a new form of slavery. And it's just like, what? It's just mind blowing to think about and explore, and I'm not doing it justice. I'm sure there are other levels I could be highlighting here about the movie, but it's a great horror film, but it's also a fantastically brilliant social conscience horror film. With great performances throughout. Yeah.
And a discussion of cultural appropriation, just stealing from and then taking and taking and taking and giving nothing back and destroying their identity.
Yeah. Yeah. Literally whitewashing them. Literally.
It's like, what a great device to have that discussion. That's what hurt when Bradley Whitford said that.
Yeah.
I've had that thought. When he was leaving, I was like, he's the only president in my life where I would have voted for a third term.
Oh yeah, 1,000%.
And I still have my problems with it. No president is perfect, but I was like, I like having the smartest guy in the room. It makes a difference to me, type of thing. And then when Bradley Whitford says that, I was like, oh, is that what I look like? Oh. I mean, I don't walk around proudly proclaiming it to black people that I know. It's not who I am, but at the same time, it's like, shit. Like, I'm not part of the problem, but I'm probably not helping, type of thing.
It was a meme.
Yeah. Just the whole, I mean, as someone who has loved basketball and rap and R&B and all that stuff, the idea of cultural appropriation was like, it was resonant. Like, yes, their loss of identity. Now I'm not technically part of the machine that is keeping them down. But I'm not part of it. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
It's like, I'm not the one pulling the levers, but I do benefit from the outcomes of this.
Yeah. I was having this comment. We just did an episode of Jedi Way, and we talked about inclusion and diversity in Star Wars. And my co-host Laura Kelly, who's just very smart about Star Wars, knowledgeable. Yeah, but she's also very aware of social issues and being socially conscious. And she said to me, she goes, nobody's going to care what a white woman has to say. Like, I've said what I need to say. I don't think. And I said, actually, I would encourage you to look at it this way. If you're going to call out the need for more inclusion and more diversity, then yes, we need more white people on shows or whatever, calling it out, saying it should happen and practicing it, putting it into practice. That's the key. And I know you do that. So you speaking about it, you highlighting the need for it, I think it carries weight, because sometimes when you hear people of color say it, it gets for other people, other white people, or people might want to hear it. It gets lost in the ether because they just can go, oh, SJW, oh, socially conscious, oh, just like everybody else, instead of hearing. And maybe sometimes they pause when a white person says it.
Dramatic lack of white guys on shows. I'm in agreement with this. We need more white voices.
She was saying
on shows.
Color.
I got you. I see what you're saying.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah. So
I mean, the movie it operates as a simple horror film, but then it's a discussion about all kinds of different things.
Yeah.
Is what unfortunately us suffers from. You're expecting Get Out level kind of discussion, and it has some of that, but it's like, man, Get Out was a perfect storm of all kinds. It was like the 7-layer dip, and you could taste each layer on a chip pull,
and you could tell that the public was ready for a movie like this and didn't know they were ready for a movie like this, and consumed it, like you said, finished the whole dip in seconds and minutes. And I love I mentioned it, but the Bradley Whitford meme was like, I would have posted 2 black squares if I could. And I thought that meme was brilliant for the BLM stuff that happened last year. All right. Anyway, so I think our number 1 might be the same. Maybe, Matt, maybe.
I would assume so.
Go
at
ahead.
This point. Deadpool?
Yes, Deadpool. Yes, number 1. Absolutely.
A character that I didn't read in comics. I've only known about from people posting on Twitter and Imager and places like that, just like panels and whatnot. And to see the bastardized version that we got before.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Right. Exactly.
Yeah. You took away his best attribute and what makes him unique.
Mhm.
And going into it knowing that Ryan Reynolds, this was his passion project for so long and devoted so much time and wanting to get it right and just crushing it. I mean, I laughed in a superhero movie a couple times incredibly hard. Incredibly hard. And it still has great action and it's unique and original. And that's tough to do after we've seen we've seen these people do everything and just punching Colossus in the balls and breaking his hand and just fucking that whole scene. And then eventually he cuts off his arm to get away because he can grow it back with like the little legs they're all grossed out by. They brought to life a character where now I wish I had grown up with him reading him in the comics. Because I would love it.
Yeah, Tim Miller, fantastic job directing this movie, and of course, him and Ryan Reynolds working together on to create this, and just so excellent. And the ideas he has throughout, and I don't, you don't know what's Tim's, what's Ryan's, but the ideas they have throughout the movie to find the humor and the stakes of this movie are great. I mean, the fact that he has cancer and he's like desperate for a cure because he wants to not be a burden to his girlfriend. He loves, Miranda Baccarin. He loves her so much. He wants to stay around. He wants to stay alive. So he's willing to do anything to maybe find a way to reverse this thing or change this thing. And it turns him into, this kind of fried, crispy guy. And he, does become the superhero or hero, but the exchanges he has to wear the thing to cover
that
up
oxygen tank thing where they're just enough to live, but you're gasping for air the whole time. What a great torture device. That is brutal. Like the human mind is disgusting.
Yes, it really is. But yeah, and then like you said, the stuff with Colossus is great. But the Miranda Baccarin stuff, man, you cannot talk about this movie and not talk about that relationship. One of the best relationships ever in any Marvel movie. Any movie,
the best,
really.
The best love story in any superhero film, bar none. There's nothing even comes close.
They accept each other from the beginning. Yeah,
exactly, for who they were.
Yep.
Well, there we go. Boom, that was done. Yeah. So why don't we compile and then we can do honorables?
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Well, you've already gotten a couple of mine.
Got the bongos right here. So yeah.
All right. So Deadpool, no problem.
Yeah.
In Bruges, you had where?
Where would you put Get Out? Are you going to adjust your list at all or no?
Yeah, I would probably. Okay, we'll Get Out second.
Oh, really? Okay.
Right. I think I would bump it up to like 5-ish.
Okay. All right.
Somewhere in that ballpark.
Okay.
So 2-5.
Okay.
Beats. In Bruges, you had where?
Oh, I had it at 7.
All right, so that's 3-7. Otherwise, Constantine is 5. What?
8.
5-8.
Black Panther's 4.
That's my 10.
Okay.
Technically, well, actually, Black Panther got bumped.
Ooh, all right, by putting Get Out on there. Yeah. Okay.
I guess In Bruges next at 3-7.
Okay.
I've got my 2 in Rango. We have Constantine in common and Kingsman. That's it.
What number are we at right now?
This is number 4.
Okay. Yeah. Rango's fine. Not gonna fight you on Rango.
Do you want to do Constantine next?
Yeah, sure. Let's do Constantine next.
All right. What's your next highest then?
My number 3, which is The Invisible Man.
All right, The Invisible Man. What's your next highest?
Number 4, Black Panther.
Okay. I'll do Black Panther there, then Old School.
Mm-hmm.
That's my number 4.
Okay.
And then we'll do Kingsman at number 9. Ooh. And what's your next highest then?
My next highest is Passion of the Christ at number 5.
All right, Passion of the
Christ. Ooh, all right. All right. I don't know what we're officially going to call this, but I'll just say whatever I say.
Sure.
All right. The top 10 movies released in February since the year 2000. Yeah. At number 10.
The Passion of the Christ.
At number 9.
Kingsman.
At number 8.
Old School.
At number 7.
Black Panther.
At number 6.
The Invisible Man.
At number 5.
Constantine.
Oop. At number 4.
Rango.
At number 3.
In Bruges.
At number 2.
Get Out.
And our number 1 movie released in February since the year 2000 is
Deadpool.
There you go. Have a chimichanga. Deadpool. I haven't had a chimichanga in forever, man.
Yeah, I don't really like chimichangas.
Yeah, you more of a burrito guy? A burrito.
Yeah, I like burritos and tacos.
He is still working on his spoonsmanship. All right, so there you go. There's our lists for the top 10 movies released this year of February. I'm sorry, there's our compile list, official top 10 movies released in February since the year 2000. You know, we're going to be going live on February 18th, ladies and gentlemen, a live show. Sorry, of the top 10. This, what we just did, you'll be able to witness the creation of the list, the back and forth. You'll be able to chime in on the chat and have your issues. And it's like you're yelling at us as we're doing the show in live time, looking at the chat for both of us to be able to see. So those are the experiences you're going to have February 18th for the $10 and above patrons. You will be able to experience us and watch us put a list like this together. So get ready for that. And for those of you who are not at the $10 level, get at the $10 level, because if this goes well, this is something we might be doing twice a month. So you'll be able to watch us construct the show on Thursday and hear the show on Thursday. And everyone else who's not a $10 and above patron will listen to it the following Tuesday. But you get dibs on listening to it and watching us create it a couple of times a month. Pretty great stuff, Matt.
Yeah, the 18th is a dry run for, amping it up and doing it potentially a couple times a month. Yeah. And then as you're hearing this, 2 days later, we're going to do a live final for the golden ticket. So tune in. That'll be over at youtube.com/the top 10 podcast with the number 10. And at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So we're going live with that to see who ends up being a guest on the show, see whatever their topic is. We're both looking forward to that.
Yep.
And what else you got on your honorables? Your list had a few of mine.
Okay. I've got Boiler Room.
Yep.
Wonder Boys.
Okay.
Hannibal.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I like Hannibal. Dark Blue. It's an awesome Kurt Russell film about the LA riots in 92. Shanghai Nights. I don't remember. Is that the sequel or is that the first?
The sequel.
Oh, first. Never
Shanghai
mind.
Nights was the first one.
Yeah, I'll leave Shanghai Nights off. Old School was on mine. 50 First Dates is on mine.
Yep.
The Adjustment Bureau, which I think is a criminally underappreciated Matt Damon film.
Oh, so bored.
Oh, you're insane. Coriolanus, which is a fantastic Shakespeare movie with Gerard Butler and Ray Fiennes. Chronicle. Yep. Safe House.
Okay.
The Lego Batman movie, which I love to pieces. I had Annihilation. How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World. A lot of people love that movie from a couple years ago. And the documentary I'm talking about is I Am Not Your Negro, which is the William Baldwin documentary. Came out in I'm sorry, not William Baldwin. What am I saying? Is it William? Is it? Oh, Jesus, I feel bad now.
I can't remember. I know the doc, but I couldn't tell you who did it.
Sorry about that. I watched the documentary. I remember watching it in the Valley with my friend Shannon, and I just absolutely lost my mind at how great this documentary is. James Baldwin and his writings, his thoughts, his perspective on the world of race relations through the 60s into the time, the last writings or recordings that he had about it. Just a brilliant film overall. And I struggled really hard to try to find a way to put it on. But in the end, it was like, it is what it was. And he passed away in 1987. Yeah. But if you haven't read James Baldwin's stuff, can't encourage you enough. It's an interestingly brilliant and way ahead of its time perspective on race relations in this country during a time when, Malcolm was around, Martin Luther King was around, so many of the other members of the civil rights movement were around and speaking. Here was James Baldwin writing about it and talking about it. And getting involved in it on so many levels as well. So just a little FYI there about that movie if you haven't seen it. Raoul Peck directed it. So all right, that's those are mine. What are yours? What are some other yours?
All right, so I had a number of those. I'll just throw in the ones that you didn't bring up. I liked Eddie the Eagle.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
The Voices.
Yeah. Okay.
The Crazies.
Oh, yeah, it's a horror
With Oliphant. I like that movie.
Okay.
The Ghost Rider. Semi-Pro.
Ghost Rider. You mean like the Nicolas Cage one?
Well, no, Ghost Writer.
Oh, Writer. Oh, sorry. The one with Ewan McGregor, I think.
Yeah, Ewan McGregor and Pierce Brosnan.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Let's see what else. Definitely maybe Running Scared. Super Troopers. Boiler Room was the one where I was like, oh wow, we've never talked about Boiler Room.
I know.
You see all these others, you're like, I'm sorry, Boiler Room. But everything else you already brought up too. I had pretty much all those.
Right on. All right. Well, there's this episode of the Top 10 Show. Thank you all so much for listening or watching us. For those of you who listen to us on the podcast feed, maybe you don't know we have a YouTube channel. So we mentioned it already a couple times, the address. So you can watch us live. But you can watch all our shows there in our pretty faces talking about movies or talking about your topics on Topic Thunder and the Golden Ticket. All there on our YouTube channel for sure. So go and get involved there if you haven't subscribed to there and give us some likes and comments on those videos as well. Matt, where can they find you and everything going on, or any final words you got, brother?
Please follow me at Matt Nost. Check out Settle the Score. And if you're into basketball, I do drop in dimes every week at Wednesday at noon. And echo everything John said. We look forward to seeing you guys at the live Golden Ticket finale. And on February 18th, please join us if you're patrons over there at the $10 and up tier. And hit up follow our Instagram at the Top 10 podcast with the number 10. And it's the same URL as the YouTube channel as well at youtube.com/the Top 10 podcast with the number 10.
There you go. All right. You can follow me at The Roca Says on Twitter and on Instagram. And of course, I've got my YouTube channel as well, youtube.com/John Roca Says. Just crossed 15,000 subscribers. So thank you all so much. And let's keep going. So come aboard and see all the stuff I got there. Entertainment, sports, professional wrestling, politics. It's all there. The Geek Buddies, all of it is there for you to enjoy if you want. So, all right. Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you next time with another brand new episode of the Top 10 Show.